What's going on, ladies and gents? Wyatt Hurts here, back with a little more Battlefield 4 multiplayer content for the channel. This time, we're playing some Domination game mode. We're playing it on Rogue Transmission, so because it's Domination, it's a very small section of the map is reserved for this game mode. The team deathmatch-sized quadrant of the map, and it's a nice little, it's this little construction area. It's a lot of fun doing battle in this part. In this part of the map. This map quite large and a lot of fun. I will get some conquest up here in time or something along those lines. Something that can really showcase the sheer size of the map. And you can see my guy. My guy's pretty lippy here. I mean, he's got a lot to say, you know, tossing grenades. He's letting the team know. He's calling for medics. And those are the RGO impact grenades, and I thought I played that really well. I mean, we're right into the action here. I tossed that initial grenade just to kind of get them running out of their own position, and then tossed that second grenade that I was carrying really short. And when with the RGO impact grenades, as soon as they land, it's only about a second later. If they hit a surface, about a second later, those grenades will detonate. Hence the name impact grenades. And I made quick work of the charger that was coming in there to try and put me down. And now apparently my guy, despite being at full health, apparently he had suffered a little head trauma. He's calling for a ride when obviously one will not come here in the Domination game mode. No vehicles in Domination, in case you're unaware. Now let's do a quick rundown of the weapon. Take a quick look at it. I will do a little bit more of an in-depth numbers rundown at the end of the video. I may start doing that for each video that I put up here, just for the guys that are playing the game or maybe looking for a better understanding of what their attachments are doing to the guns. And of course, I'll put my 2 cents in and what I thought of it, you know. So we're looking at the ACW-R. It's the second carbine available to you when you're leveling up the carbine section of the weapons. You know, the very first was, of course, the AK-5C. Now, the one notable difference between the two, the AK-5C coming in with a fire rate of 700. Okay, the rate of fire on the ACW-R 880. So quite a bit of an increase. It can spit the bullets out that much faster. With my current setup, you're looking at a reflex sight on there, red dot sight, okay, American style. The laser sight is on there as well for boost to hip fire. Not that I used, I mean, it's just I don't have all the attachments unlocked yet. So usually the first thing that ends up on my weapons is that laser sight, and I'm not really a big hip fire player. You know, I prefer to aim down sights when I get into battle, even at the closer ranges. Of course, if somebody just comes around the corner and is right up in my face, often I'll try and spray him down with the hip fire. But and that could have been one of those scenarios where maybe I come out of there alive if I stick with the hip fire, because the hip fire numbers on this weapon right now are through the roof. It's not only getting a boost from the laser sight, it's also getting a boost from the grip I have on the weapon, which is the ergo grip. Now the last modification to this weapon is the muzzle brake. It's killing. It's doing a little bit of damage. I'm getting penalized. My accuracy is getting penalized a little bit. My stability is getting a boost, and the vertical climb on the weapon's recoil is kept in check. You know, which I think is probably a good thing with that high rate of fire with this weapon. Now again, here we go, getting a revive. That was nice to see. Now I want to get into the action here because I was playing with a really great team here. This was just a good room of guys. I had spent a little bit of time in this server when I finally captured this round, and the team, you know, I know I have barked about it in the past in videos about guys support troops not actually dropping ammo, medics, you know, usually medics are healing, but for the most part, this team in particular really played well. It was nice to see a few good key heals come in on me, medic packs and med bags and all that jazz. They were being dropped pretty consistently, yeah, and ammo was being dropped, which was even more important. Now right here you can see I waited for this guy I had to come in for the reload, but I really did want to wait for him. I would have waited for him to run to safety before taking that wall out. You know, I wanted to try and line him up, get a better sight of, or a better idea what was going on behind that wall. But I knew after I saw that guy's health, I wasn't gonna be right on the trigger with that RPG. And some of you may be watching this round so far, and may be thinking to yourself, well, why, you're doing some pretty heavy RPG in here, some pretty heavy explosive work, and in the past I have given guys a hard time for doing that in one of the other shooters that I've had up here on the channel, Homefront. But of course, this is a different game. You guys have to remember that explosive work is plays a much larger role in this game, even if it's against infantrymen. So the RPG is I'm putting my kit to use. I'm putting my loadout to use. And if I have to RPG a few guys along the way, then that's gonna happen. To save my life. Now right there, I was really hurt, and I was down to I think 3 rounds in the rifle, 5% health, and at that point it's time to die. And I was just kind of stuck out there, a lonely island on the map, nobody around me, no teammates around me to resupply me or to give me some health. And it was time to fall. It was time to fall. It was only a matter of time at that point. But we're really walking away with this round. You can see, if you don't have a general sense of what the area that we're battling in now, this here, we're at the C objective up here on the tower. A objective is second floor on this little construction building, this building that's under construction, and sector B is on the ground floor of the other building. So it plays a little triangle, a little triangle that we have to continue to work our way through, continue to push forward, fall back occasionally to try and regain an objective that we're losing behind us. But for the most part, it's just a constant push forward. Along the way, guys will post up and try and guard areas and get good lines of sight on the other 2 objectives that they're not currently, entrenched on. Now right there, another heal. You see it coming in. Great medic work. Now you may be wondering what was the point of that RPG, Wyatt? Well, the RPG, I did see some activity on radar, and you can see I'm checking it right now. I don't know if he's way up there on the crane or if he's just on this top level of this structure, but I thought if he was on the level that I'm on right now as my team was charging up those stairs, if I put a little RPG up there, perhaps it would be enough of a shock. It would have that shock and awe effect where he wouldn't really be able to get the jump, an accurate jump on my teammates as they charged up those stairs to the second level. So that was the point of that RPG. That just seemed a little bit out of place, perhaps, to some of you. Anyway, I continue to push forward. I tried taking out the wooden, the piece of plywood with my blade. It just wasn't going to get the job done. It just wasn't going to cut it, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Good. And I continue to push forward. Looks like I'm going to make a charge here, try and get up to the to the B objective, and I think perhaps I called that wrong when I was laying out the objectives. I called BC and CB, but who cares? You get the general sense of what's going on the map. And this guy running for his life, I don't know, this guy, I put the sweet fear in this fool. I don't know, did he see a ghost or something? I don't know, but anyway, I've chased him right out here to the perimeter of the map. He's in here just trying to, recoup his health, obviously, looking for some cover, but by God, did he ever make a run for it, looking back at that, in hindsight, I probably should have just pulled out the RPG and blasted the wall from the outside of the building, because you got to figure if he's going to go into that building, he's going to find a corner to sit in, so I may have been able to do him in that way, and that might have been a little bit more entertaining. Anyway, let's take a look at this gun one more time. Let's start discussing what's going on with it. High rate of fire, pretty effective. It's got what I find with the way the gun is set up right now. It was running pretty nicely at those close ranges and this right here, except for this one, except for this instance where I whittled him all the way down to 1% health, and he managed to close the gap just enough that he could initiate this knife attack, this slash and dash animation. And of course, I don't even get. You know what, guys? I have yet. There is a counter knife mechanic at play here when a knife battle takes place face to face. If you get a guy, if you sneak up behind a guy with the blade or get him on the flank, it can't be countered, as far as I know at this point. But if you try and knife him from the front, the guy has an opportunity to try and counter. And what I read somewhere was that you have to wait for the right time to hit the button to counter it. Now I could be wrong about this. That might have been wrong what I read. I was thinking initially that you just had to get on the knife button, the melee button, and try and mash it and try and counter the blade that way. But apparently you're supposed to wait for this prompt with the blade. I have yet to ever see one. I've been knifed several times from the front, and I have yet to counter it. Of course, there are guys that seem to counter me every time, and when I try and knife them from the front, and they always win those encounters, and they always counter me and take my own knife and stick it in my guts. So hopefully, if one of you guys can clarify that, know better, maybe you'll clarify that in a comment on the video, so I can try and put some of these knife counters into effect. I don't know if it's a prompt or if I'm just supposed to go heavy and mash the button. And maybe one of you guys who know better, like I said, will clarify for me, or clarify that for me in a comment. Anyway, match is winding down. We really did walk away with this round, and I enjoyed this. I mean, it was a nice, fast-paced battle. There was lots of activity going on, and it was good to see the team working strong. You know, working together really well, cohesively, and that's really why we were able to walk away with it. I mean, guys that were dropping ammo, guys were healing, and we were running as a squad for the most part. There were a few times where I really got stuck out there by myself, but there were a couple times where I got healed, and it really did keep my deaths in check this round. At least, you know, cutting it down by about 2. And allowed me to continue on those runs a little bit longer when I was healed up, you know. So a great overall team performance, a great performance by myself there, and I enjoyed that weapon for the most part. And I would say for mid-range, within the mid-range of the mid-range, and anything shorter, it's a pretty solid gun. There it is, 20-3, a good round. We should mention, I will get to those numbers here shortly, but I do want to mention some of the other good performers here. We're looking at Zatara 32 there with a 22-6, big performer on my side of things, and Off-Road Andy there with a 13-5, and really going all the way down the list to about Suicidal Chaos. Those numbers, those KDRs, and the score that they were bringing in, that the team brought in, was pretty solid, you know. So a good overall performance, as I said, from my team. On the other side, Smooth Hustle, who put me down in that stairwell when I was just kind of jumped by the 2 guys as they were coming up the stairs. Smooth Hustle with a 16-11. Atreides there at 12-11. And, you know, what is that? Old Joe Bob there with a 12-8. All right, so let's, with all that said, let's get to the numbers on this weapon. Well, there's the gun, ACW-R carbine, rate of fire 880. Reflex sight is on there. Laser sight, muzzle brake, and ergo grip, and here come the numbers. Now, the damage it started with those particular attachments on that weapon, damage started at 30, ended at 30. No difference there. Accuracy started at 40, took a bit of a hit there with the muzzle brake, ending at 32. And I don't know. I know that in a previous video, I think on was it the Domination round on Siege of Shanghai, I think I had mentioned that if you're going to wield the muzzle brake or compensator, okay, where you take that hit to accuracy and you want to limit that penalty that you're going to get from it, probably your best grip that you should put on and couple with the muzzle brake / compensator if you're looking to keep your accuracy numbers a little bit higher is the stubby grip, and I just didn't have it on this weapon. I don't know if I can't remember. I don't think when I started this game session, I don't think I actually had the stubby grip unlocked for it. It only came throughout the course of the session. It became available to me, and I just hadn't put it on the weapon yet. So looking at the hip fire numbers, it went from 60 to 80 with the laser sight alone. So you get a 20-point bonus with that hip with the laser sight on there to hip fire accuracy, and then it took another 9-point bonus it received another 9-point bonus from having that ergo grip on there. You know, so hipfire numbers were through the roof, and I really didn't use the gun effectively to that strength. And of course, I still did a great job aiming down sights for the majority of the time. In fact, I think the one time I actually tried to do battle from the hip, I was swarmed by about 4 or 5 guys and just got put down, you know. Range on the weapon started at 25, ended at 25. So again, I mean, like I said, it's good at about those mid-range, the middle ground of the mid-range and shorter. Anything beyond that, and that's on full auto, you know. That's in controlled bursts on full auto. You know, for the most part, how you want to wield the gun there. Anything beyond that, it becomes a little bit more uncomfortable. Beyond that range, you almost want to pop the bullets out one at a time. And with that high rate of fire of 880, you know, on this weapon, it becomes a little awkward to try and do that effectively and keep your shots lined up. It almost feels like you just can't do it. There's a little bit too much pop and spray on even the single shots that your recoil is just a little bit too much across those longer ranges to line those shots up effectively. At least how I had the weapon set up with that particular sight on there. Now that may change with the 4x zoom ACOG scope on the sucker. We'll have to wait and see. You know, again, actually, I don't know if I should say again here, but I wanted to wait a little bit longer before I started doing these more in-depth weapon rundowns until I was a little bit more familiar with everything, so that I could, you know, I was a little bit more informed. You know, I could more accurately describe what the gun is doing when you have this stuff on here compared to when you have this stuff on here. So I'm just kind of doing it on the fly here. We'll address other attachments for this ACW-R in time. Now, the last rating we're looking at, stability started at 30, ended at 35, and that's because of the muzzle brake, a small boost to stability. And I'm not sure with this weapon, there seems to be a little bit too much drift, in the full auto fire. So I'm not sure with this weapon. I may try this weapon with a compensator rather than the muzzle brake. Both those attachments have the exact same bonus to stability and the exact same penalty to accuracy, whereas however the muzzle brake will reduce, try and keep your weapon's vertical recoil in check. The compensator works to keep your side-to-side recoil, the muzzle drift, in check. So this gun in particular may benefit from the compensator more than the muzzle brake, and I will check that out and hopefully check back in here on the channel and let you guys know if that's the case, if that's true or not. So I think that's probably about it. Overall, I enjoyed the weapon at these ranges in these smaller games, or not the smaller game, but the smaller map size where there's a lot of intense action in a compact area. Gun is certainly effective there with that high rate of fire, as I said. It does reasonable damage. It has reasonable range. I wasn't using the gun to its modified strength, and that may have cost me a little bit, but I still got the job done with a really solid KDR and a solid performance. So I like this weapon. I would recommend using it, perhaps with a few different attachments, but if you like to go from the hip, this loadout in particular may work well for you. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for stopping by here and checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a little bit informative and perhaps a little bit entertaining for you guys, and hopefully you'll leave a like, leave a comment, sub to the channel if you're new around here and you haven't already, and until next time, guys, well, you know how it goes. Remember why it hurts. Later, all.